Well, I've done it. I've officially run out of space in my backyard orchard. But that didn't stop me from buying more fruit trees. I mean, it's fall planting season, so I couldn't resist adding a few more, even if I have to get creative in where to put them. So let me show you all the new fruit trees I'm adding to my garden this fall and why every single one of them is going in a container. At some time, every gardener hits that point where there's just no more ground, especially when it comes to fruit trees because they're just big. They take up a ton of space. But that doesn't mean you're done growing fruit. You just have to grow smarter. Enter container growing. So even if I don't have any more space for in-ground big fruit trees, I can always find little nooks and crannies in my garden where I can tuck a pot. And so that's what I'm going to do with these new fruit trees. And planting fruit trees in containers allows you to control so many things. It allows you to grow tropicals and things outside of your zone so you can protect them over the winter. It allows you to control aggressive trees or things that are just going to get way too big and keep them smaller for your space. And it also allows you to just kind of test drive new varieties before you invest precious ground space for a big fruit tree. You can keep fruit trees alive and productive in containers for a really long time if you plant them in the right mix and take care of them well. So let me introduce you to my new fruit tree roommates, and you're gonna see why every single one of these had to come home with me. My first tree is a tropical, and it's a little bit of an unusual variety. I haven't really seen it much, so that's one of the reasons I picked it. This is Achacha, or it's also called Achacha, and it's it's related to a mangosteen, if you know what that is. But it's these really little orange fruits that when you peel the rind off, it has this white interior that's supposed to be absolutely delicious. I honestly haven't tried it. I haven't even seen one of these in the store, but I've heard that it's a really delicious combination of super sweet and a little bit tangy acidic, which is frankly my favorite combo. So one of the reasons I got excited about this tree is because it loves heat and humidity, which is something we have a plethora of here in East Texas, but we also have lots of cold and dry spells. So I know I'm gonna have to give it the VIP treatment over winter because once the temperatures hit into the 40s, it really needs to be protected. It does not do well with any prolonged period of anything resembling cold. So I'm going to be protecting this one over the winter, but I'm really excited to try the fruit and see how well it grows and see how it responds to the heat and humidity of my climate. Now this next one is another tropical with really delicious fruit, but I think it's an even more beautiful tree. This cool looking tree is carambola, or also called starfruit. You might have seen that in the grocery store. Although I have a feeling the fruit from this is going to be a lot tastier than that. But you can see it has really unique leaves. They're kind of in these cool clusters that grow off of a main stem. It's a really pretty tree. And then look, you can see these bright pink clusters of flowers. And this is what becomes the small little fruits. So you can get a ton of starfruit on one small tree. They're very productive, which makes me really excited that I can get so much fruit while also saving space. These are also tropical trees that are sensitive to cold. They absolutely have to stay above freezing. If you're in a climate that does get cold, like where I am, they will lose some of their leaves in the cooler weather. You can see that's starting to happen. Shouldn't defoliate altogether, hopefully. And then if you live in a warmer climate, they're gonna be evergreen all year round. And then come spring and those warmer temperatures, it's gonna start growing like crazy again. One thing to note, if you have kidney disease, this might not be the fruit tree for you because starfruits contain a lot of something called oxalic acid, which can impair kidney function. So just beware. This starfruit tree definitely falls into the category of keep it alive at all costs once the cold hits. But even with our crazy, unpredictable winters, this next tree could actually survive outside here. I mean, how can I resist a tree that's literally called fantastic? So this is fantastic avocado, and it is the most cold hardy of the Mexican avocado varieties. So it has super thin, really dark green skin and creamy flesh. It's supposed to be really delicious. It's technically kind of borderline for my zone. It's probably good down to about 15 degrees, which will be okay for the most part. So I could plant this in the ground, but it feels a little risky to me. So I'm gonna give it a go in a pot first, and who knows, I might change my mind. But at least in a pot, it gives me the chance to protect the tree if the temperatures are going to drop too low. But next is a semi-tropical fruit tree that can take some cold and still keep on producing. This little beauty is an Arctic frost Satsuma. Satsuma tree. And a Satsuma is just a mandarin orange hybrid. And this variety has been bred specifically to be super cold hardy, which is great because citrus trees usually are very sensitive to cold. And only even the other most cold hardy ones, like most kumquats and Meyer lemons, they really can only go down to about 25 or 30 degrees. But this guy is going to be hardy down to about 10 degrees Fahrenheit, which is amazing. So in my climate, I probably won't have to bring it inside at all. I could put it in the ground if I wanted to. It might need some frost protection if the nights get really, really cold. If you do plant it in the ground, you're going to want to be gentle with it the first couple years and protect it from extreme cold temperatures. But it should survive pretty well. So I'm really excited to see how this makes it through my winter. I'll probably tuck it up against the house or maybe in my screened-in sunroom just so it has a little bit of frost protection, but I'm really excited about this one. I've had such great success with growing citrus trees in containers that even though I could plant it in the ground, and I reserve the right to change my mind at any time, but I just know citrus trees do so well in pots that I'm happy to also have this one potted up. But let's move from citrus now to something a little bit more old-fashioned. This little tree right here is a quince tree, specifically the variety Kaoqing or Conching. I'm not sure how to say that. This is not a tropical tree, so cold isn't the issue here, but space is, and I don't have any. So this is a tree I'm going to grow in a pot just because I'm limited in in-ground space. I might change my mind later, or if I lose a tree, this is a contender for planting in the ground. But first of all, I want to try the fruit because I've never had a quince in my life. I've heard really mixed things about it. I've heard that you've got to cook it or make jelly out of it or something, but this variety is supposed to be sweet and juicy enough that you can eat it raw. So if you've tried this variety of quince, let me know if that's the case. But by growing it in a pot, I get to test it out first before I give up my garden space. In case you're wondering why it looks kind of sad like this, it's because it's a deciduous tree and it's slowly starting to lose its leaves as it goes dormant for the winter. This next one is also deciduous and it doesn't need any protection, but it does need boundaries. This big guy is a jujube, and it's also called a Chinese date. And it grows these little, small, dark brown, sort of wrinkly looking fruits that do look a lot like dates. This variety is called honey jar, and I picked it specifically because it's one of the varieties that A, ripens earliest, but B, it's supposed to be really sweet and juicy, and some jujubes really you only want to eat dried or cooked. But this one's supposed to be really delicious even when it's raw, even when it's still slightly green. Usually you have to wait for them to get completely brown. This is another fruit that, full disclosure, I have never tried. So hopefully I like it, but the main reason I want to grow it in a pot is because it can spread really aggressively through root suckers. So if you have a lot of space, it can make a great hedge plant or something that takes up a lot of room and becomes a really productive part of your garden and gives you a lot of food. But as aforementioned, I don't have that kind of space. So I'm going to grow it in a really large pot. Okay, so it's official. I have no self-control when it comes to buying fruit trees. Growing fruit trees in containers has completely changed the way I think about my garden. When I see all these really cool tropical varieties and everything just growing together and thriving in my more temperate climate, it just gets me excited and I want to keep experimenting. And it proves that you don't have to have a ton of space to grow something really special. Honestly, I'm really excited to see how these new trees do over the next few months, especially once the cold sets in. I'll be sharing how I protect them and care for them over the winter, and I'll be showing you all sorts of progress, and I will definitely let you know which ones I think are worth growing once I actually try all of the fruit. So let me know in the comments which of these new fruit tree varieties you would like to try in your own garden. Or if you do grow container fruit trees, let me know what works best for you. If your garden feels full, don't let that stop you. If it's just one potted citrus tree in the corner of your patio, or if you have container fruit trees dotted all over your garden beds like I do, there's always room to grow something. You just might have to get a little creative. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.